They laughed at him the day he split his field in half. Some stood at the edge of the dusty road, arms folded, shaking their heads. Others didn't even hide their smirks. 2 crops in one field. They said, he can't even afford one good harvest. And as he pressed the last handful of seeds into the soil, he heard every word. But what they didn't know was this: when the market collapsed and the prices crashed, when proud farmers stared at empty barns and unpaid debts, he would be the only one with 2 harvests waiting. If you've ever been doubted, if someone ever laughed at your idea, stay with me till the end of this story. And if stories like this inspire you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the quietest risks create the loudest victories. In a small farming village surrounded by dry hills and unpredictable weather, lived a farmer named Kareem. He wasn't the richest. He didn't own the largest land. His house had cracks in the walls and a tin roof that sang loudly whenever rain visited. But Kareem had something many others didn't: he listened more than he spoke. For years, the village followed the same pattern. Every season, they planted wheat. It was safe, predictable. Buyers came every year. Prices were stable. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Until the year everything changed. The previous season had been generous. Rain had come on time. The harvest was abundant. Every farmer expanded. Every farmer borrowed money to plant even more wheat. More supply means more profit, they told each other. But Kareem noticed something different. He overheard traders in the town market whispering. Storage warehouses were already full. Imports were increasing. Demand wasn't rising like before. He came home that evening unusually quiet. His wife, Amina, saw the worry in his eyes. "What are you thinking?" she asked gently. Kareem stared at their small field through the window. "If everyone plants wheat again, and the market is already full, what happens to the price?" Amina hesitated. "It will fall." He nodded. The next morning, instead of buying only wheat seeds like everyone else, Kareem did something unexpected. He bought half wheat, and half lentils. When the villagers found out, the teasing began. "You think you're smarter than generations of farmers. You'll ruin your soil. You can't even manage one crop properly." But Kareem didn't argue. He simply divided his land into 2 equal parts. One side golden wheat seeds. The other side tiny lentil seeds that looked almost insignificant. The first challenge came quickly. Managing 2 crops meant double the planning. Wheat needed specific irrigation timing. Lentils needed less water. Wheat demanded certain fertilizers. Lentils enriched the soil naturally but required careful pest control. Kareem worked before sunrise and long after sunset. His hands developed deeper cracks. His back ached more than ever. Some nights, he doubted himself. What if the villagers were right? What if splitting the field reduced total yield? What if both crops failed? Amina would bring him tea in the dark and sit beside him silently. "Even if we fail," she whispered one night, "at least we failed trying something different." Weeks passed. The wheat grew tall and proud. The lentils grew quietly, closer to the ground. From a distance, the field looked uneven, almost strange. The villagers continued laughing. Then harvest season arrived. At first, everything looked normal. Wheat fields across the village shimmered like gold oceans. Farmers were confident. They calculated profits before selling a single grain. Then the market news arrived. Prices had crashed. Too much supply. Warehouses overflowing. Buyers offering nearly half of last year's rates. Shock spread through the village like wildfire. Farmers who had borrowed heavily felt their stomachs drop. Some refused to sell, hoping prices would rise. Others sold at a loss just to survive. Kareem harvested his wheat too. And yes, the price was painfully low. He earned far less than expected. The villagers waited for his regret. "See," they whispered. 2 crops didn't save him. But they forgot something. A week later, traders began looking for lentils. Because while everyone had planted wheat, hardly anyone planted pulses that year. Supply was low. Demand was strong. And the price, it had doubled. Kareem loaded sacks of lentils onto his small cart and took them to market. Traders competed for his harvest. By the end of the day, the money he earned from lentils didn't just cover his wheat losses, it exceeded them. When he returned home, he didn't shout. He didn't celebrate loudly. He simply placed the money in Amina's hands and smiled. The news spread quickly. The same villagers who laughed now walked through his field with thoughtful expressions. They touched the soil. They examined the empty lentil rows. They asked careful questions. How did you know? Kareem answered honestly. I didn't know. I just didn't want all my hope in one basket. That season changed more than just his income. The soil on the lentil side grew richer because legumes naturally restored nitrogen. The following year, the wheat planted there grew stronger than ever. His land became healthier. His confidence grew. And more importantly, his fear of trying something new disappeared. But the story doesn't end with profit. One evening, a young farmer named Hamza came to Kareem's house. He had lost nearly everything in the wheat crash. Debt collectors were visiting weekly. His father blamed him. His neighbors pitied him. I was one of the people who laughed, Hamza admitted, eyes lowered. Can you teach me? Kareem could have reminded him of the mockery. He could have said, now you believe me. But instead, he invited him in for tea. Farming isn't about being right, Kareem said softly. It's about surviving long enough to grow again. The next season, several farmers diversified their crops. Some planted chickpeas. Others tried vegetables. The village slowly transformed from uniform golden fields to a patchwork of resilience. Years later, when people spoke about the great market crash, they remembered it as a turning point. Not because of the loss, but because of the lesson. Never put your entire future in one fragile plan. Kareem didn't become the richest man in the region. He didn't buy massive tractors or build a mansion. But he never feared market rumors again. He never feared laughter again. Because he had learned something powerful. Being different is uncomfortable, until it works. And sometimes, the very people who laugh at your risk will one day ask you for guidance. So if you're standing in your own field, right now, whether it's a business idea, a creative project, a career decision, and people are doubting you, remember Kareem. Remember the two crops. The world often rewards those who prepare for more than one outcome. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you not to quit when others laugh, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs courage today. Because success doesn't always grow in the loudest fields. Sometimes, it grows quietly in the half everyone underestimated.